In March 2025, Alina Delgado opened a drawer she hadn't touched in 6 years. Inside was her son's phone, the same phone Marcus had been carrying when he vanished after school in September 2019. The battery had been dead for 2019 days, but when she plugged it in, the screen lit up. 47 missed calls, all from her. All from September 18, 2019. And in the voice memo app, one file. 4 hours and 4 minutes. Recorded underground. For 2019 days, Alina Delgado lived with silence. Her 12-year-old son Marcus had walked out of the school parking lot on a Wednesday afternoon in September 2019, backpack over one shoulder, composition notebook in his back pocket, telling his best friend he'd see him tomorrow. They found his body the next morning, 35 feet down an abandoned mine shaft behind the Kovac property, but they never found his voice. It had been there all along, waiting in a drawer, waiting for her to be ready to listen. You'll discover how a curious 12-year-old spent his last hours documenting his own death, not with fear, but with the same relentless curiosity that had defined his short life. How 4 hours and 4 minutes of audio captured his final messages to everyone he loved, recorded in darkness 35 feet underground, and how a mother's decision to finally open a drawer brought her son's voice back from the earth that took him. This is the Marcus Delgado case. The boy who vanished after school, and the recording that waited 6 years to be heard. Let me take you to Colebrook, Pennsylvania. September 18, 2019. 6:45 a.m. The morning Marcus Delgado disappeared started the way every Wednesday morning started, with the buzz of an alarm he didn't need because he was already awake. 6:45 a.m. September 18, 2019. Colebrook, Pennsylvania. Marcus's hand shot out from under the covers and silenced his phone before the second buzz. Samsung Galaxy A10 black case with a NASA sticker on the back, a sticker he'd rubbed so often the logo was nearly smooth. Worn away by his anxious thumb the way water wears away stone. He rolled onto his back and stared at the ceiling, at the glow-in-the-dark stars he'd arranged into actual constellations when he was 8. Orion, Cassiopeia, Ursa Major, still there, still glowing faintly in the early morning light filtering through his window. He checked his phone. 3 notifications overnight. A YouTube upload from his favorite urban exploration channel. A text from Tyler with a meme about their science teacher and a weather alert. Sunny today, high of 68, perfect for exploring. Marcus sat up, bare feet finding the cool hardwood floor. His room looked like a museum of curiosity, rocks lined up by color on his windowsill, quartz to obsidian, rose to black, dissected electronics scattered across his desk. Posters of Mars and the Mariana Trench competing for wall space with hand-drawn maps of abandoned sites around Colebrook. 23 sites documented in his composition notebook. 23 places other kids drove past without noticing. 23 small mysteries in a small town. He pulled on yesterday's jeans from the floor, dark blue with a hole developing in the right knee, the denim frayed just enough that he could work his finger through if he wanted. Not big enough for his mother to notice yet. Almost, but not quite. He checked it, decided it could survive one more day without patching. The gray SpaceX hoodie hung on his desk chair, faded from so many washes it was more suggestion than color. Marcus put it on anyway. It was his thinking hoodie, his exploring hoodie. His "I'm about to do something Mom wouldn't approve of if she knew the details" hoodie. He grabbed his phone and portable charger, never left home without both, and headed downstairs. The composition notebook in his back pocket held 23 documented sites, but site #19 was different. Site #19 had a star next to it. Site #19 had the words, "This one, September." The kitchen smelled like coffee and the particular silence of a house where one person was already awake and trying not to wake the other. Alina stood at the counter in her scrubs, navy blue Colebrook Regional Medical Center embroidered over the pocket, pouring coffee into a travel mug. She'd been up since 6. She was always up before Marcus, even on days when she didn't have the early shift. Old habit, couldn't sleep past 6 even if she tried. "Morning, Mijo," she said without turning around. She knew his footsteps, knew the rhythm of her son moving through the house. Morning. Marcus opened the cabinet, grabbed the box of Frosted Flakes, poured cereal directly into a bowl standing at the counter. This was routine. This was Wednesday. Cereal standing up, YouTube video on his phone propped against the fruit bowl, his mother sipping coffee and pretending not to monitor his screen time. Alina glanced at his phone, some guy in a hard hat exploring an abandoned hospital in Detroit. Marcus watched, chewing, completely absorbed. She wanted to tell him to sit down, to use a napkin, to watch something educational instead of watching strangers trespass in dangerous buildings. She said none of these things. They'd negotiated this peace over the summer. He got independence. She got to check his location 3 times an hour. Fair trade, even if it made her stomach hurt. Library after school today, she asked, filling the silence. Yeah, Wednesday. Marcus didn't look up from the video. Tyler's meeting me at 4:30. We're working on the Science Olympiad project. The bridge thing, the bridge thing. He whistled 3 notes, the opening of the Star Wars theme, an unconscious habit when his brain was divided between conversation and something more interesting. It's supposed to hold 20 pounds, ours holds 47. That's my engineer. She smiled into her coffee mug. You need a ride? Nah, I'll walk, it's nice out. He finally looked up. Caught her watching him, softened. I'll call you at 4:15, like always. 4:15 p.m. Marcus had called at 4:15 every day since 6th grade when Alina first let him walk home alone, just to check in, just a hey mom, I'm alive and not kidnapped. It had become sacred. If Marcus said he'd call at 4:15, he called at 4:15. Okay. Alina set down her mug, walked over. Kissed the top of his head even though he was getting too old for it, didn't care that he smelled like sleep and teenage boy and frosted flakes. Love you, be good. Love you too. He pulled away gently the way 12-year-old boys do when they love their mothers but also need them to understand that public displays of affection are embarrassing even in private. Don't worry so much. She wanted to say, I'm your mother. Worry is my job description, she said. I'll try. Marcus finished his cereal, rinsed the bowl in the sink, grabbed his backpack, navy blue with reflective strips, packed last night the way she'd taught him, and checked his phone one more time. 7:22 a.m., 13 minutes until the bus. Have a good day, Mom. You too, Mijo. The door closed. Alina stood at the kitchen window and watched him walk down the driveway, one strap of his backpack over his shoulder, the other dangling loose. He turned at the corner and waved without looking back, habit, muscle memory, the ritual of their mornings. She waved even though he wasn't looking. Then he was gone around the corner, and the September morning swallowed him up, and Alina Delgado turned back to her coffee and thought about absolutely nothing except the staff meeting she had at 8 o'clock, and whether she'd remembered to take the chicken out of the freezer for dinner. She didn't know that in 9 hours and 53 minutes, Marcus would fall 35 feet into darkness. She didn't know that this was the last time she'd watch him walk away. She didn't know that the phone he was carrying, the one with the NASA sticker worn nearly smooth, would record everything that happened next. The school bus arrived at 7:35 a.m. exactly on time, engine idling at the corner with the hydraulic hiss of opening doors that every student in Colebrook knew by heart. Marcus climbed aboard, scanned his student ID, walked down the aisle counting rows silently, 1, 2, 3, 4, and dropped into his seat. 4th row, left side window, same seat every day, creature of habit, comforted by ritual. Tyler Chen was already there, had saved the seat the way he always did, backpack moved to the floor, space cleared. Best friends since 3rd grade. They'd perfected the morning routine. Tyler showed Marcus whatever meme had been circulating overnight. Marcus showed Tyler whatever weird thing he'd found exploring. This morning, Tyler had a video of a cat falling off a couch in slow motion. Marcus had photos from Site #14, the collapsed building on Hollow Road he'd visited Saturday. Dude, you're gonna die in one of those places, Tyler said, scrolling through the photos. Rusted machinery, holes in floors, broken glass. Seriously, your mom know you go there. She knows I explore. Marcus squinted one eye shut, looking out the window like a pirate studying the horizon. I don't lie to her. You just don't tell her where. Details. Marcus grinned. The bus lurched forward, heading toward Colebrook Middle School, and he settled against the window, watching the town scroll past. The same houses, the same hills, the same mountains in the distance that used to be coal country 100 years ago and were now just abandoned mines and shut-down processing plants and sites that kids like Marcus photographed for fun. You coming to Science Olympiad today? Tyler asked. Nah, library, working on the bridge. It's Wednesday, though. It's always Wednesday for the library. Marcus pulled out his composition notebook, flipped to the middle pages where Site #19 waited with its star and its circled entries and its promise. This one, September. He touched the page with his fingertips, reading the coordinates like Braille. I might check out something after, though, if I have time. Tyler glanced at the notebook, saw the circled entry, said nothing for a moment, then that's the Kovac property. Yeah, that's private property, like actual trespassing. It's abandoned. No one's lived there since 2011. Still trespassing. Marcus closed the notebook, slipped it back into his pocket. I'm just gonna look, take some photos, document it, that's what I do. Tyler performed their secret knock on Marcus's backpack, 3 fast taps, 2 slow, 1 fast, the rhythm of friendship, the code that meant okay, I trust you but be careful. Marcus returned the knock on Tyler's shoulder. If you die, Tyler said, I'm telling everyone you died doing something stupid. If I die, you can have my rock collection. I don't want your stupid rocks. You will when they're worth millions. They laughed. The bus pulled into the school parking lot at 7:52 a.m., 8 minutes until first bell. Marcus grabbed his backpack, checked his phone, NASA sticker smooth under his thumb, comfortable. Grounding, and followed Tyler off the bus into the September morning that tasted like autumn starting and summer ending, and something changing even though nothing had changed yet. He didn't know this was the last time he'd laugh with Tyler. Didn't know that in 8 hours and 25 minutes, Tyler would be the one leading searchers to Site #19, voice breaking as he tried to remember the exact location Marcus had circled in his notebook. Didn't know that the secret knock, 3 fast, 2 slow, 1 fast, would be something Tyler performed unconsciously for the rest of his life, tapping the rhythm on steering wheels and doorframes and tabletops without realizing he was doing it. By 3:42 p.m. that afternoon, Marcus would say goodbye to Tyler in the same parking lot. 7 hours from now. The last words Tyler would hear him speak. See you tomorrow, man. The school day unfolded in the way school days do when you're 12 and it's Wednesday and you're thinking about what comes after school more than what's happening during it. First period, English. Marcus sat in the back and took notes on symbolism in The Outsiders and thought about Site #19. Second period, pre-algebra. He solved for X and wondered what the shaft looked like inside. Third period, science. He helped Mrs. Patterson fix the smart board when it froze mid-presentation. Everyone called him when technology broke. He was the unofficial IT department for teachers who couldn't make their projectors work, and she thanked him and told him he was going to do great things someday. He smiled and said thank you and thought, someday I'm going to discover a cave system and name it after my mom. Lunch. He sat with Tyler at their usual table and ate the sandwich Alina had packed, turkey and cheese, mustard not mayo, because Marcus hated mayo with a passion that Tyler found hilarious. They talked about the Science Olympiad bridge, argued about whether video games counted as art, debated which college had the best geology program even though they were only in 7th grade and college felt like a different planet. You still gonna explore today? Tyler asked. Voice low so the other kids at the table wouldn't hear. Yeah, just for an hour. I'll be at the library by 4:30 like I told my mom. The Kovac property is like 2 miles from the school. You sure you have time? It's 4 miles, I measured. Marcus pulled out his phone, showed Tyler the GPS route he'd mapped. 22 minutes walking, 15 if I cut through the field. I've got plenty of time. Tyler stared at the map. At the marker Marcus had dropped on the location. At the distance calculation. At the certainty of someone who'd planned this carefully, because that's what Marcus did. He planned, he measured, he documented, he thought things through, and still Tyler said, maybe don't go today, come to Science Olympiad instead. Why? I don't know, bad feeling. Marcus looked at his best friend, saw something in Tyler's face, worry, maybe, or premonition, or just the normal concern of someone who cared whether you lived or died. He reached over and performed the secret knock on Tyler's lunch tray, 3 fast, 2 slow, 1 fast. I'll be fine, Marcus said. I'm always fine. Tyler held his eyes for a moment, then nodded, returned the knock. Okay, but text me when you're done so I know you didn't fall in a hole or something. I'll text you. He wouldn't text Tyler. In 3 hours and 37 minutes. Marcus would fall 35 feet into a hole, and his phone would land in his hoodie pocket and stay there while his body failed, and his voice recorded messages that wouldn't be heard for 6 years. But right now, at 12:43 p.m. on September 18, 2019, Marcus Delgado finished his sandwich and threw away his trash and walked to 6th period thinking about geology and cave systems and whether he'd have time to stop at the library before it closed. Right now, he was still just a 12-year-old kid with a backpack and a dream and a composition notebook full of places to explore. Right now, he was still alive. The afternoon wore on. 6th period, history. 7th period, study hall. Marcus pulled out his phone at 3:12 p.m. to check the time and frowned at the battery percentage, 47%. Lower than he'd like, but he had his portable charger. He'd be fine. He opened the voice memo app, something he did compulsively, leaving audio notes for himself like a captain's log. Random thoughts, observations, things he wanted to remember. His mother loved finding them later. Listening to his voice talking about rocks or abandoned buildings or why he thought tardigrades were the coolest animals on Earth. He pressed record, held the phone close. Whispered so the study hall monitor wouldn't hear. September 18th, 3:12 p.m., about to check out site #19 after school. It's the one with the unmarked shaft behind the Kovac property. Looks deep, should be cool. If this is interesting, I'll come back with rope and actually explore it properly. Vertical video is for amateurs, so I'm gonna film it horizontal like a professional. Tyler thinks I'm crazy. He's probably right. Okay, study hall's almost over. Out. He pressed stop, saved the file. Didn't know that in 65 minutes the voice memo app would activate again and record for 4 hours and 4 minutes straight. Didn't know that this casual log entry would be the last one he made while standing. The final bell rang at 3:35 p.m. Marcus grabbed his backpack from his locker, checked his phone, 3:36 p.m., plenty of time, and headed for the east exit. The September afternoon was perfect. That particular golden light that only exists in mid-September when summer is memory and autumn is promise and everything feels like it's balanced on the edge of changing. Long shadows stretched across the parking lot. The air smelled like cut grass and bus exhaust and possibility. Tyler was waiting by the bike racks. Backpack slung over both shoulders properly the way parents wanted you to wear it. Marcus approached with one strap dangling loose the way kids actually wore them. "You're really going?" Tyler asked. 22 minutes, then straight to the library. "I promise. You have your phone." Marcus pulled it out, turned it horizontal in his hands, the way he always held it for filming. The way he'd hold it in an hour when he leaned over the edge of site #19 trying to capture footage of how deep the shaft went. 47% battery, plus portable charger, I'm good. Tyler looked at him, 12 years old, about to turn 13 in April. Small for his age, 4'11", wiry from constant movement, dark hair falling into his eyes. Gap between his front teeth visible when he smiled. Dark blue jeans with a hole developing in the right knee. A kid who took apart radios and rebuilt laptops and kept rocks organized by color and whistled Star Wars when he was thinking. A kid about to walk toward something that would kill him in 42 minutes. "See you tomorrow, man," Tyler said and performed the secret knock one more time on Marcus's shoulder. 3 fast, 2 slow, 1 fast. Marcus returned it. "See you tomorrow." He turned, walked across the parking lot. Tyler watched him go, watched the gray SpaceX hoodie, the backpack with one strap loose, the composition notebook visible in the back pocket of his jeans with the fraying hole in the right knee. Watched until Marcus reached the sidewalk, turned left toward downtown, and disappeared behind the gymnasium. That was 3:42 p.m. At 4:15 p.m., Alina Delgado's phone would ring and ring and ring, and Marcus wouldn't answer. And the 47 missed calls would begin. At 4:17 p.m., Marcus would test the boards covering site #19, decide they were safe enough to remove, lean over the edge with his phone held horizontal to film how deep the shaft went, and lose his balance. At 4:17 and 32 seconds, he would fall. At 4:17 and 38 seconds, he would hit the bottom 35 feet down. At 4:18 p.m., his phone would still be in his pocket, screen cracked but functional NASA sticker visible in the weak light, voice memo app ready to record the next 4 hours and 4 minutes of his life. But right now at 3:42 p.m. in the parking lot of Colebrook Middle School, Marcus Delgado was still just walking. Still just breathing. Still just thinking about the abandoned shaft he'd been planning to document since July. The September light caught his hoodie as he walked, made it almost glow, made him look like he was already half ghost, half memory, half gone. Tyler stood in the parking lot and watched the space where Marcus had been and felt the bad feeling settle deeper in his chest. He should have said something else. Should have stopped him, should have known, but how do you know? How do you look at your best friend on a Wednesday afternoon and understand that this is the last time? How do you read the future in golden September light and a kid with a backpack and a phone with a NASA sticker worn smooth? You don't. You wave goodbye, you watch them turn the corner. And then you spend the rest of your life remembering that you could have said one more thing, performed the secret knock one more time, asked him to stay. But you didn't, and they left. And that's the last normal moment before everything changes forever. Marcus reached the Kovac property at 3:59 p.m. The walk had taken 17 minutes, faster than he'd calculated because he'd cut through the Miller Farms backfield, hopped the fence near the creek, followed the tree line until the old Kovac house appeared through the branches. Abandoned since 2011. Windows boarded, porch sagging. The kind of place that looked haunted in photographs but was really just forgotten. He wasn't interested in the house. Site hash 19 was behind it, past the collapsed garage, through the overgrown yard where rusted farm equipment slowly returned to earth, 40 yards into the woods according to his GPS coordinates. Marcus pulled out his composition notebook, checked the map he'd drawn, oriented himself using the oak tree he'd marked as a landmark. There. The shaft opening was exactly where he'd estimated, a rough circle about 4 feet across, covered with weathered boards that had probably been placed there decades ago. Someone had tried to seal it, tried and failed because the boards were rotting now, gaps visible between the planks, darkness underneath promising depth. Marcus approached carefully, tested the ground around the opening, solid enough, knelt at the edge, pulled out his phone. 4:03 p.m., battery at 47%. Plenty of time to document this and still make it to the library by 4:30. He turned the phone horizontal, vertical video is for amateurs, and started recording video. Leaned forward, peered between the boards into the darkness below. The flashlight app activated automatically, a weak beam that barely penetrated the black. Marcus squinted, trying to judge the depth. Couldn't see bottom, just darkness swallowing the light, the kind of darkness that had weight. Texture. Presence, cool air rose from the shaft, smelled like minerals and dampness and earth that hadn't seen sunlight in 100 years. Okay, Marcus whispered to the camera. Site hash 19, unmarked shaft behind Kovac property, can't see bottom, boards are pretty rotted, he shifted his weight. Leaned farther to get a better angle, the board beneath his left knee cracked, not broke, not yet, just cracked. A sound like a gunshot in the quiet woods. Marcus froze. Held his breath, tried to shift his weight back, the board gave way. Set up, Marcus's hands grabbed for something, anything, found only air and rotted wood. His phone flew from his grip, spiraling, the world tilted, became vertical, became free fall. The moment he fell, 35 feet takes 47 seconds at 9.8 meters per second squared. Marcus had calculated free fall before, worked the physics problem in science class, understood the math academically. Understanding gravity and experiencing it are different things. The darkness swallowed him, complete, absolute, the kind of black that erases even the concept of light. He opened his mouth to scream, but the sound got lost somewhere between his lungs and the shaft walls rushing past. His back scraped rock. His left arm hit something, crack, pain exploded white behind his eyes. Impact, he hit bottom at 4:17 p.m. and 38 seconds. Aftermath, the landing wasn't flat, wasn't even. His left ankle twisted wrong, snapped, something fundamental breaking in the architecture of his body. His ribs hit rock and the air punched out of his lungs in a sound that was half gasp, half sob. His head bounced, temple against stone, and the world went white, then red. Then a kind of swimming gray that might have been consciousness trying to decide whether to stay or go. He lay there. Time became elastic, stretched, compressed, could have been 5 seconds, could have been 5 minutes. Pain organized itself into locations, ankle screaming, ribs sharp with each breath, head throbbing, left arm broken, probably broken, definitely broken. Marcus tried to sit up, gasped, lay back down. The darkness pressed against his eyes like a physical thing. He couldn't see his hand 6 inches from his face, couldn't see anything. The black was complete, total, the kind of darkness that people who live in cities with streetlights never experience, the kind that early humans feared, the kind that still lives in caves and mine shafts and the deep places of the earth where light has never reached. Okay, he said out loud. His voice echoed wrong. Came back at him from walls he couldn't see. Okay, I'm okay. He wasn't okay. His left ankle was broken. He could tell without looking, could feel the wrongness, the way his foot sat at an angle feet weren't meant to sit. His ribs screamed with each breath. Something warm trickled down his temple. Blood, head wounds bled a lot. He knew this, had read it, tried to remember if it was serious or just looked serious. Think, he had to think. Phone, where was his phone? Marcus patted his pockets with his right hand. The left arm wouldn't move right, something wrong in the elbow or shoulder or both. His fingers found the shape he needed. The phone was still in his hoodie pocket, the pocket he always kept it in. The pocket that had somehow cushioned the fall enough that he pulled it out, pressed the power button, the screen lit up. The phone shouldn't have survived a 35-foot fall onto rock, but it did. Screen cracked, spiderweb fractures radiating from the corner but functional. The NASA sticker caught the light, still there, still smooth where his thumb had worn it. 4:21 p.m., 4 minutes since the fall, battery 46%. The phone's light revealed his prison. A shaft maybe 6 feet across, circular walls of layered rock showing the geology of 100 years. 35 feet up, he could see the opening. A rough circle of gray September sky impossibly distant. The boards he'd been kneeling on formed a broken frame around the light. The bottom of the shaft was uneven rock, wet in places. A slow drip 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 somewhere to his left, water finding its way through stone. Cold. He hadn't noticed the cold yet, but he noticed it now. Temperature down here maybe 50 degrees. He was wearing a hoodie and jeans. In a few hours, hypothermia would start. Marcus tried his ankle. He tried to stand. The pain was immediate and overwhelming, and he gasped and sat back down hard. Tears squeezed from his eyes without permission. He wiped them away angrily with his right hand. Okay, he said to the darkness, to himself, to no one. Can't climb, ankles broken, left arms broken, ribs hurt but probably just bruised, head's bleeding but I'm conscious so probably okay, phone works, that's good, that's good. His voice shook. He opened the phone. Went to call 911. No signal, of course no signal. 35 feet underground, stone walls, middle of nowhere. He tried anyway, held the phone up toward the opening, moved it around, no bars, no connection, nothing. Okay, new plan. He opened his contacts, selected mom, pressed call, the phone tried, searching, call failed. Marcus closed his eyes, opened them. The darkness was the same either way. 4:27 p.m. His mother would call and he checked, 18 minutes. She'd call and he wouldn't answer and she'd call again and again and eventually she'd come looking. The school, Tyler. Someone would remember site #19, someone would find him, he just had to wait. Alina 4:15 p.m. Alina Delgado stood at the nurse's station at Colebrook Regional Medical Center finishing her shift notes. 4:13 p.m., almost time. She glanced at her phone on the counter. Screen dark. Waiting. 4:15 p.m. came. The phone didn't ring. Alina finished writing, checked her phone, no missed calls, no texts. She picked it up, unlocked it, opened her location app, the one that showed Marcus's phone as a little blue dot on a map. Last location 3:58 p.m. near Hollow Road. That was wrong. Marcus should be at the library by now, should have called by now. 4:16 p.m. She called him. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, 4. Voicemail, hey this is Marcus, leave a message or whatever. Me Joe, it's mom, you didn't call me back, okay, love you. She hung up, told herself it was nothing, phone died, got distracted, library's loud and he didn't hear it ring, normal reasons, explainable reasons. 4:18 p.m. She called again, straight to voicemail this time, not even ringing. The wrongness settled in her stomach, heavy, certain. The same feeling she'd had the night before her mother's stroke. The same feeling she'd had the day Marcus fell off his bike in 3rd grade and broke his collarbone, mother's instinct. Primal and accurate, something was wrong. Marcus 4:28 p.m. The cold was getting worse. Marcus hugged himself with his good arm trying to conserve body heat. His breath came out in visible puffs. How was that possible? It was September, 68 degrees at the surface. But down here, in the earth, summer didn't reach. He turned on the phone's flashlight app, aimed it at the walls, looking for handholds, anything he could climb. But the walls were smooth where they weren't jagged and jagged where they weren't smooth, and his ankle wouldn't support weight and his left arm hung useless. He couldn't climb out. The realization settled slowly, not panic, not yet, just understanding, cold and clear. He couldn't get out alone. 4:31 p.m. Marcus opened the voice memo app. The same app he'd used at 3:12 to record his captain's log. He pressed record, held the phone close. September 18th, 4:31 p.m. I fell, site #19. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat, tried again. I'm at the bottom of the shaft, it's about 35 feet deep. I'm hurt, ankles broken, arms broken, I can't climb out, no cell signal if someone finds this phone. I'm behind the Kovac property, the abandoned house on Hollow Road. There's a shaft in the woods, 40 yards behind the house, that's where I am. He paused, listened to his own breathing echo back. Mom's gonna be so mad, he said and almost laughed, except it came out more like a sob. I was supposed to call at 4:15, she's probably calling now, probably worried. I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry, I should've. He stopped, saved the file, kept the app open. Because another thought was forming. Terrible and clear if they didn't find him. If this shaft was as forgotten as he thought it was. If no one remembered site #19 except him and Tyler didn't know the exact location and the woods were big and the shaft was small and hidden, if they didn't find him in time, at least they'd find the phone eventually. Find the recordings, know what happened, know he'd been here, know he'd tried, documentation. That's what he did. He documented things, so he'd document this too. The first message 4:47 p.m. Marcus had been underground for 30 minutes. His body was shaking now, part fear, part cold, part shock settling in. He tried climbing 3 times, failed 3 times. Each attempt sent pain screaming through his ankle and he'd given up, slumped against the wall, phone clutched in his good hand. The screen showed 17 missed calls, all from Mom. The moment he pressed record again. Mom, I know you're freaking out, I know you're calling and I can't answer and you're probably. His voice broke completely, 12 years old, scared, alone in the dark. I'm sorry, I messed up. I went to explore site #19 like I told Tyler I might and I fell and I'm stuck and I can't get out. Tears now, real ones, running down his face, mixing with the blood from his temple. I'm trying to be brave, but I'm really scared. It's dark and it's cold and everything hurts and I want to come home. I want to be home. I want to be watching Planet Earth with you on the couch with the too much butter popcorn. I want to be anywhere but here. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve. I love you, Mom. I love you so much. You're the best, Mom, even when you worry too much, especially when you worry too much. You were right to worry. You're always right. I should have listened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Aftermath, he saved the message, stared at the phone screen. Battery 41%, the percentage was dropping faster than it should. Cold affected batteries, he knew this, had read it somewhere. He turned off the flashlight to conserve power. The darkness rushed back in, complete, suffocating. He turned the flashlight back on immediately. Couldn't do it, couldn't sit in that absolute black. Not yet. Alina 5:12 p.m. Alina called 911 from her car. Hands shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. 911, what's your emergency? My son is missing. He didn't call when he was supposed to. He always calls. His phone is off. His last location was near Hollow Road and he's 12 years old and something is wrong. Ma'am, I need you to slow down. When did you last see your son? This morning, 7:30, he went to school. He was supposed to call at 4:15. He always calls at 4:15. He didn't call. The dispatcher's voice was patient, professional. It's been less than an hour, ma'am. Teenage boys sometimes. He's 12 and he always calls. Always something is wrong. A pause then, what's your son's name? Marcus Antonio Delgado. He's 12, 4'11", dark hair, gray space X hoodie. He was supposed to go to the library, but his phone says he was near Hollow Road at 4 p.m. and now it's off and... Okay, ma'am. I'm sending an officer to your location. Where are you now? Alina gave her address, hung up, immediately called Tyler's house. Tyler's mother answered. Hello, Mrs. Chen, it's Alina Delgado. Is Marcus with Tyler? No, I don't think Tyler is Marcus there. Muffled voices, then Tyler on the phone. Mrs. Delgado, Tyler, where's Marcus? He was going to the library. We said goodbye at school. His phone shows Hollow Road. Why would he be at Hollow Road? Silence. Too long, Tyler. He might have mentioned checking out a site, one of his exploration things, but he said he'd be quick. What site? Alina's voice came out harder than she meant. Tyler, what site? Site #19, it's in his notebook, behind the old Kovac property, but Mrs. Delgado, I'm sure he's fine, he's probably just... Alina was already driving, phone on speaker, heart in her throat. Give me the exact location, Tyler, right now. Marcus 6:15 p.m. 2 hours since the fall. The cold had moved from discomfort to danger. Marcus's teeth chattered, his body shook in waves he couldn't control. Hypothermia, he knew the stages, had read about it. First you shiver, then you stop shivering, then you die. He was still shivering, that was good. That meant his body was still fighting. Battery 28%, the flashlight was eating power. He'd started turning it off for longer periods. 30 seconds in darkness, 30 seconds with light, rationing, trying to make it last. He'd recorded 3 more messages. One to Abulita, apologizing for missing Sunday dinner, thanking her for teaching him to be curious, telling her he loved her in Spanish because that's how she taught him to say it. Te quiero mucho, Abulita. One to his father, forgiving him for leaving, telling him it was okay. Telling him Marcus understood that sometimes people couldn't stay even when they wanted to. And one to Tyler, about the secret knock, about friendship. About how Tyler was the best friend anyone could ask for and Marcus's only regret was that he couldn't give Tyler the rock collection in person. His lips were turning blue, he could feel it. Could feel his body shutting down systems, prioritizing core temperature, abandoning the extremities. 6:47 p.m. Marcus heard something, voices, faint, distant, coming from above. He tried to stand, gasped, fell back, cupped his hands around his mouth instead. Help, his voice came out weaker than he wanted, hoarse from crying and cold. Help, I'm down here, help, the voices continued, didn't change direction, didn't get closer. They were searching, but they weren't close enough. Marcus screamed until his throat was raw, screamed until he tasted blood. The voices faded, moved away. East maybe, wrong direction, away from the shaft. He slumped against the wall, throat burning, hope draining. They were close, so close. Maybe 200 feet, maybe less, but they hadn't heard him. This moment, Marcus hearing the searchers passing within 200 feet, the voices fading, would haunt everyone who searched that night. How close they came, how easily they might have found him. How the darkness and the density of the woods and the silence of stone swallowed his screams before they could reach Chinese letter listening ears. 7:30 p.m., 3 hours and 13 minutes since the fall. Marcus pressed record again. His hands shook, not from cold now, from understanding. The moment they were here, he whispered into the phone. The searchers, I heard them. I screamed so loud I can't, my throat. I screamed and they didn't hear me. They walked right past. They were so close. His breath hitched, something between a laugh and a sob. I really thought when I heard the voices, I thought this was it. This was rescue. This was going home, but they're gone now. I can't hear them anymore, and I don't think he stopped. Couldn't finish the thought. Aftermath, the phone's light flickered. Battery 19%, warning notification. Marcus dismissed it. Kept recording. I'm gonna keep talking, gonna keep leaving messages, because if I don't, at least there'll be something. At least you'll know I was thinking about you, all of you. At least you'll know I wasn't alone because I had the phone and I was talking to you and in my head you were talking back, and that's something. He saved the message, turned off the flashlight. This time he forced himself to keep it off. The darkness rushed in like water, like drowning. Like the earth reclaiming space that light had borrowed for a moment. Marcus closed his eyes. It made no difference. Dark was dark whether eyes were open or closed. He tried to whistle the three-note Star Wars theme. His lips wouldn't cooperate, too cold, too numb. He hummed it instead, 3 notes, over and over, a melody in the dark. A human sound in the silence. The earth didn't care. The cold didn't stop. The 35 feet to the surface might as well have been 35 miles. Marcus Delgado hummed the Star Wars theme in the absolute darkness 35 feet underground and waited for rescue that might not come. 4.5 hours since the fall. Marcus had stopped shivering 20 minutes ago. That was bad. He knew that was bad. The articles he'd read about hypothermia all said the same thing. When you stop shivering, your body is giving up. Core temperature dropping below critical, organs shutting down, the beginning of the end. His fingers were numb, couldn't feel the phone anymore, just knew he was holding it because his eyes told him so. Battery 7%. He'd turned the flashlight off an hour ago, saved it for recording. Saved it for the messages that mattered more than seeing the walls that trapped him. He pressed record. His voice came out slurred, slow, like his mouth was full of cotton. It's getting hard to think. Cold, so cold, but I need to tell you about the rocks. He paused, tried to organize thoughts that kept slipping away. There's layers here in the shaft walls, different kinds of stone, sedimentary, from when this was ocean millions of years ago, and there's coal seams, thin ones, that's what they were mining, and quartz deposits. I can see them when I turn on the light. They're beautiful, even down here, even in the dark, the earth is beautiful. His breath came shallow. Each inhale hurt. Ribs, maybe, or lungs filling with something they shouldn't fill with. I'm not afraid. I thought I would be, but I'm not. It's quiet down here, peaceful, like the earth is just holding me, like I'm part of the geology now, part of the layers. Someday someone will dig here and find evidence of me, like a fossil, like proof that I was here. He saved the message, closed his eyes. The darkness was the same either way. 9:23 p.m. Marcus Antonio Delgado took his last breath 35 feet underground, surrounded by the stone he'd loved to study, holding a phone that had recorded 4 hours and 4 minutes of his final afternoon, thinking about geology and layers and how everything eventually becomes part of the earth. He was 12 years old. He wanted to be a speleologist. He never got to name a cave system after his mother. Alina stood at the edge of the woods behind the Kovac property with 47 missed calls on her phone and a fear in her chest that had solidified into certainty. Police were there, had been there since 5:47 p.m. when Deputy Morrison arrived at her house. Volunteers were there, neighbors, teachers, parents who'd seen the Amber Alert and dropped everything to search. Tyler was there. 13 years old, face streaked with tears, leading groups of searchers through the woods with a hand-drawn map from Marcus's notebook that he'd grabbed from his own house where Marcus had shown it to him months ago. Site #19 should be around here, Tyler said for the 5th time, voice breaking. He had it marked, 40 yards behind the house, but I can't find. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Voices called Marcus's name over and over. The sound echoed off trees and returned empty. Alina made the sign of the cross when she heard sirens in the distance. More volunteers arriving, more searchers, more people who would look and not find. She'd been making the sign of the cross all evening, habit from her mother, prayer without words. We'll find him, Mrs. Delgado, Deputy Morrison said, kind voice, practiced. The voice of someone who'd said this before and knew it wasn't always true. We've got dogs coming, thermal imaging. We'll search all night if we have to. Alina nodded, didn't speak. If she spoke, she'd scream. If she screamed, she wouldn't stop. Her phone buzzed. Text from her mother, Estoy rezando te quiero, praying. Everyone was praying. Alina wanted to pray too, but couldn't find the words. Couldn't find anything except the terrible certainty that her son was out here somewhere and she couldn't reach him, and her phone had 47 missed calls that would never be returned. At 11:00 p.m., they called off the search until morning. Not because they'd found him, because darkness made searching dangerous, because the woods were vast, because they needed daylight. Alina refused to leave. She stood in the woods until 2:00 a.m. when Deputy Morrison physically walked her to her car and promised they'd resume at first light. She drove home, sat in Marcus's room, didn't sleep, waited for morning. Set up September 19, 2019, 6:47 a.m. Deputy Morrison returned to the Kovac property at first light with a fresh search team and the nagging feeling that they'd been close last night, too close. He'd heard something around 7:30 p.m., thought it was wind or an animal or his imagination playing tricks, but it had bothered him all night. He went back to that area, searched more carefully. Followed Tyler's map more precisely, 40 yards behind the house, through the overgrown yard, into the woods, and there, hidden by brush covered with rotted boards, barely visible, a shaft. The moment Deputy Morrison approached carefully, tested the ground, saw where boards had been disturbed, recent, someone had been here, recently, he pulled his flashlight, shined it down into the opening, the beam caught gray fabric 35 feet down, a SpaceX hoodie. "Oh God," Morrison whispered. Then louder, "I found him, I found." He couldn't finish. Couldn't say the words, because he could see enough to know that the boy wearing the hoodie wasn't moving, wasn't breathing, was the particular kind of still that only means one thing. Aftermath, by 7:15 a.m. the recovery operation had begun, ropes, harnesses, a volunteer firefighter rappelling down into the shaft. By 8:30 a.m., they were bringing up the body. By 9:23 a.m., exactly 12 hours after Marcus had taken his last breath, he emerged into September morning light. The medical examiner confirmed what everyone already knew: hypothermia and trauma from the fall, dead approximately 12 hours, never regained consciousness after approximately 9:30 p.m. the night before. Alina was at the site by 9:00 a.m., saw them bringing up the stretcher. Saw the gray hoodie. Saw her son's hand hanging limp over the edge, fingers she'd held when he was small, fingers that had assembled electronics and arranged rocks, and texted her every day at 4:15. She made a sound no human should make. Deputy Morrison caught her before she collapsed. Later, the medical examiner would find Marcus's phone in his hoodie pocket. Screen cracked but intact. Battery dead. They'd charge it at the station, extract what they could for the investigation, then return it to Alina with his other personal effects. The voice memo files would be there, 4 hours and 4 minutes of audio, but no one would listen, not yet. It was evidence. It was Marcus's last moments. It was too sacred, too terrible, too private to hear. The funeral, September 24, 2019. 417 people attended Marcus Delgado's funeral. The church couldn't hold them all. They stood in the parking lot, in the street, anywhere they could be close enough to witness. Alina sat in the front pew in a black dress she'd bought that morning because she didn't own funeral clothes for her child. No mother should own funeral clothes for her child. The casket was closed. She'd asked for that, wanted to remember Marcus alive, not as the cold thing they'd pulled from the earth. Tyler gave a eulogy, 13 years old, voice shaking, reading from note cards because he couldn't trust his memory. "Marcus was my best friend since 3rd grade. We had a secret knock, 3 fast, 2 slow, 1 fast. Tyler performed it on the podium. The sound echoed in the silent church. He was the smartest person I knew. He could fix anything. He knew everything about rocks and space and abandoned buildings. He wanted to discover a cave and name it after his mom." Tyler's voice broke completely. He stood there, tears running down his face, unable to continue. Alina wanted to go to him, wanted to hold this boy who'd loved her son, but she couldn't move, couldn't do anything except sit and exist and somehow survive the unsurvivable. Tyler wiped his eyes, found his voice. Marcus always said vertical video was for amateurs. He always filmed horizontal. He always thought about things. He always called his mom at 4:15. Tyler looked at Alina, always, every day, because he loved her. Because that's who he was. He performed the secret knock one more time, then walked back to his seat. The service continued. Prayers, hymns, words about heaven and peace and God's plan that felt hollow, because what plan includes a 12-year-old falling into darkness? After, at the cemetery, they buried the casket under a maple tree. Alina stood at the graveside and tried to understand that her son was in that box. That the boy who'd eaten cereal standing up and whistled Star Wars and collected rocks by color was gone. Really gone, not coming back, not ever. People hugged her. Said things, she heard none of it. Just stood there until everyone left and the cemetery workers filled in the grave and she was alone with the fresh dirt and the temporary marker that would eventually be replaced with granite. She drove to the police station, asked for Marcus's personal effects. They gave her a box. His backpack, his composition notebook, his phone in an evidence bag. We extracted what we needed, the officer said. It's all yours now. Alina held the phone through the bag, felt its weight, saw the NASA sticker worn smooth, couldn't turn it on, couldn't bear to see his home screen, his apps, his last messages that she'd never answered. She drove home, put the box in her bedroom closet, couldn't throw it away, couldn't look at it. The phone stayed in the evidence bag. And the evidence bag went into a drawer in her nightstand. And the drawer closed, and 6 years began. The first year, September 2019 to September 2020, Alina kept Marcus's room exactly as he'd left it. Rocks on the windowsill arranged by color, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. His bed made the way she'd made it the morning of September 18th before everything ended. She still checked her phone location app, Habit, 3 times an hour. Even though Marcus's phone was in her drawer, turned off, not pinging any towers. Even though she knew he was gone. The app still showed his last ping from September 18th, 3:58 p.m. near Hollow Road, a ghost dot, a gray marker that never moved, just frozen there. Forever 3:58 p.m., forever the moment before. At 4:15 p.m. every day, her body expected the call. Her phone would be in her hand without her realizing she'd picked it up. She'd wait, the call wouldn't come, it would never come again. She went back to work after 3 months. People were kind, gave her space, stopped asking, "How are you?" because the answer was too obvious and too terrible. At Thanksgiving, her mother asked if she'd listened to Marcus's phone yet. Alina said no, couldn't, not ready, maybe never ready. Christmas was impossible. The tree stayed in storage. The decorations stayed in boxes. Alina worked a double shift so she wouldn't have to be home in the empty house with the empty stockings and the empty place at the table. On Marcus's birthday, April 22, 2020, he would have turned 13. Alina bought a cake anyway. Lit 12 candles plus one to grow on, sang happy birthday to an empty room, blew out the candles herself because Marcus wasn't there to make a wish. The drawer in her nightstand stayed closed. The second year, September 2020 to September 2021, Tyler turned 15. Started a YouTube channel called Urban Exploration with Tyler Chen. Used Marcus's composition notebook as his guide. Visited all 23 sites Marcus had documented. Filmed them horizontal, never vertical. Explained the geology, the history, the beauty in abandoned places. He never mentioned Marcus by name in the videos, but the dedication was there in every frame. For my best friend who showed me how to see. Alina watched every video, never commented, never subscribed, just watched. Marisol, Alina's mother, Marcus's abuelita, started showing signs of dementia, small things at first, forgetting where she'd put her keys, asking the same question twice. But then asking, when is Marcus coming to visit? He usually helps me with my phone on Sundays. Alina had to explain again. And again, each time felt like the day they'd found his body. Each time broke something new. On September 18, 2021, the second anniversary, Alina drove to the Kovac property. The shaft had been filled, sealed with concrete. A small marker placed by the county, dangerous abandoned mine shaft sealed 2019. No mention of Marcus, no memorial, just a warning. She stood there for 3 hours, came home, opened her nightstand drawer, looked at the phone in its evidence bag, closed the drawer, not ready. The drawer became a symbol. Every month, Alina would touch the handle. Every month she'd think, today I'll open it, today I'll listen. But she never did, because listening meant hearing him die. Listening meant experiencing those 4 hours and 4 minutes. Listening meant knowing exactly what his last words were, and she couldn't. She just couldn't. The third year, September 2021 to September 2022, David Delgado, Marcus's father, Alina's ex-husband, showed up at her door in March 2022. He'd been living in Seattle since the divorce in 2015. Hadn't seen Marcus in 2 years before the accident. Hadn't been to the funeral because he'd been too devastated to travel. "I want to listen to the phone," he said. "I need to hear what he said." "No, Alina, he was my son too. You lost that right when you left." Alina's voice was flat, final, when you stopped answering his texts, when you forgot his birthday, when you chose not to be his father. David stood on the porch, opened his mouth, closed it, had nothing to say because it was all true. Did he on the phone, did he mention me? Alina looked at the man she'd once loved, the man who'd given her a son and then walked away. I don't know, I haven't listened. Why not? Because I'm not ready to say goodbye. David left. Alina closed the door, went to her room, opened the drawer, looked at the phone. The NASA sticker was barely visible through the evidence bag, worn completely smooth by Marcus's thumb. Ghost of a logo, memory of anxiety. She touched the bag. Felt the phone's shape. Closed the drawer. The fourth and fifth years, September 2022 to September 2024, Tyler graduated high school, got accepted to Penn State for geology. Marcus would have been proud, would have been right there with him talking about rocks and caves and discovering new systems. His YouTube channel had grown, 50,000 subscribers, people who loved urban exploration, people who appreciated the care Tyler took. The research, the respect for abandoned places, people who didn't know they were watching a memorial. Every September 18th, Tyler posted a video, no exploration, just him talking to the camera. Today is the anniversary of the day I lost my best friend. He taught me to see beauty in forgotten places, to document, to preserve, to remember. This channel exists because of him. Still didn't say Marcus's name, still felt too private, too sacred. Marisol's dementia worsened. By 2024, she was in memory care, asking for my ingeniero every Sunday, not understanding why he didn't visit anymore. Alina would hold her mother's hand and say, "He's busy, Mama, he loves you, he'll visit when he can." Lies that felt kinder than truth. Alina developed a habit she didn't notice at first, checking jewelry clasps, her necklace, her watch. The same checking motion Marcus used to make with his grandmother's locket in the stories Alina's mother told. Hourly habit, small compulsion, inherited grief. Tyler noticed, never mentioned it, the drawer stayed closed. 19 days passed like that, some fast, some slow, some so heavy Alina wasn't sure she'd survive them. But she did. She survived because that's what mothers do. They endure, they continue. They wake up and function and pretend the hole in their chest isn't killing them. March 2025, Alina woke up on March 14, 2025 and decided it was time to change Marcus's room. Not erase it, not forget, just change it, make it something other than a shrine. Make it a space she could use without breaking. Every time she opened the door, she called Tyler. "Can you help me this weekend? I'm ready to pack up some things." Tyler arrived Saturday morning. 19 years old now, tall, beard coming in, not the 13-year-old who'd given a eulogy, but still Marcus's best friend, still carrying that grief, still performing the secret knock on door frames without thinking about it. They worked in silence, boxing up clothes, organizing electronics Marcus had been taking apart, leaving the rocks on the windowsill because Alina couldn't bear to move them. By evening, the room looked different. Still Marcus's, but breathable, possible. "You okay?" Tyler asked. "I don't know." Alina sat on the bed. I think I need to listen to the phone. I think it's time." Tyler nodded. "Want me to stay?" "Yeah, I think I need that." Alina went to her bedroom, stood at her nightstand, put her hand on the drawer handle. 19 days, 5.5 years. September 18, 2019 to March 14, 2025. She opened the drawer. Set up. Alina stood at her nightstand with Tyler waiting in the living room. The drawer was open. The evidence bag sat on the bed. Inside, Marcus's phone, Samsung Galaxy A10, black case, NASA sticker worn to nothing but a smooth patch where a logo used to be. 6 years in a drawer. 19 days in darkness. The phone hadn't been charged since September 19, 2019, when the police extracted the files and returned it to her. It shouldn't work. Batteries don't last 6 years. Electronics don't survive that kind of abandonment, but she had to try. The moment Alina removed the phone from the evidence bag, held it. The weight was familiar. She'd held it 1,000 times, confiscating it at dinner, checking his screen time, handing it back with warnings about bedtime. The case was scuffed. The screen protector was cracked in a spider web pattern from the fall. The NASA sticker was ghost smooth. She found the charger in Marcus's room, the same cable he'd used every night, plugged it into the wall, connected it to the phone. Nothing happened. She waited 10 seconds, 20, 30, then the screen lit up. Aftermath, a red battery icon appeared, empty, charging. The Samsung logo bloomed across the black screen, white and blue, corporate and cold. Completely indifferent to the miracle it was performing. Alina's hands shook. She set the phone on the nightstand, backed away like it might explode. "Tyler," she called, voice breaking. "Tyler, it's turning on." Tyler appeared in the doorway, saw the phone screen glowing, went pale. "That's not possible." I know, the battery, it's been 6 years, I know. They stood there, watched the battery icon fill slowly, 1%, 2%, 5%. At 8%, the phone vibrated. Boot sequence complete. Lock screen appeared, Marcus's lock screen. A photo he'd taken of the Milky Way from their backyard. Stars scattered across black like someone had thrown diamonds at velvet. Below the photo, enter passcode. Alina's fingers moved without thought. Muscle memory, mother's knowledge, 0422 Marcus's birthday. April 22nd, the phone unlocked. The home screen appeared, apps arranged the way Marcus had organized them. Icons she recognized, a world preserved exactly as he'd left it. Frozen, September 18, 2019, forever. And there on the screen, voice memos, one notification. Alina touched the app. It opened. One file, recorded September 18, 2019. Duration 404,004 hours, 4 minutes. Her son's last afternoon on Earth. Documented. Waiting. The phone shouldn't have worked. Every expert would say it was impossible. Lithium batteries degrade. Electronics corrode. 6 years in a dark drawer should have killed it permanently. But sometimes, rarely, impossibly, miraculously, technology preserves what it shouldn't. Sometimes the dead can speak. Alina called David. It was 8:47 p.m. on a Saturday. He answered on the third ring. Alina, I need you to come over now. What's wrong? The phone turned on, Marcus's phone. There's a recording, 4 hours. From the day I can't listen alone, I need, her voice broke. Please. Silence, then I'll be there in 2 hours. He made it in 90 minutes, pulled up to the house at 10:17 p.m., parked badly, came through the door looking like he'd aged a decade in the 90-minute drive from Philadelphia. Where is it? Living room. Tyler's here too. We waited. The three of them sat on the floor in a triangle, the phone in the center like something sacred, something dangerous, something that would change everything. Alina's hand hovered over the play button. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. We have to. Tyler's voice was steady, 19 years old enough to understand what they were about to hear. He left it for us, we have to listen. David said nothing, just stared at the phone, at the 40400 duration, at the timestamp from 6 years ago. Alina pressed play. The first sound was the fall. Not the scream that must have happened before the recording started, but the impact. A sickening crunch of body hitting rock, then breathing, ragged, gasping, pain made audible, then Marcus's voice, 12 years old, scared, trying to be brave. Okay, I'm okay. He wasn't okay, they could hear it in every breath, but he was trying. The recording continued. 4 minutes of assessment, testing his ankle, realizing he couldn't climb. The first call attempt, call failed. No signal, then silence for a while, just breathing, just the drip, drip, drip of water somewhere in the darkness. At 6 minutes, I'm going to record messages, in case they don't find me in time, so you know what happened. Alina's hand covered her mouth. Tyler closed his eyes. David's face was wet with tears he didn't bother wiping. To Mom, 15 minutes in, Mom, I know you're freaking out. I know you're calling and I can't answer and you're probably. His voice broke. 12 years old, alone in the dark, scared. I'm sorry, I messed up. I went to explore site #19 like I told Tyler I might and I fell and I'm stuck and I can't get out. I'm trying to be brave but I'm really scared. It's dark and it's cold and everything hurts and I want to come home. I want to be home. I want to be watching Planet Earth with you on the couch with the too much butter popcorn. Alina sobbed, actually sobbed. Tyler put his arm around her. I love you, Mom. I love you so much. You're the best mom, even when you worry too much, especially when you worry too much. You were right to worry. You're always right. I should have listened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Silence, breathing, the drip of water. Don't blame yourself. This was my choice, my stupid choice. You didn't do anything wrong. You were perfect. You are perfect. I love you. I love you. I love you. To Tyler, 47 minutes in. Tyler, man, I'm sorry I can't give you my rock collection in person. You can have all of it, especially the geodes. I know you always liked those. The secret knock was the best thing. 3 fast, 2 slow, 1 fast. Don't forget it, okay? Use it. Remember me. Remember that we were best friends and that was the best part of being alive, having a friend like you. Tyler performed the knock unconsciously on his knee. 3 fast, 2 slow, 1 fast, tears streaming down his face. I'm not scared anymore. Well, I am, but not as much. I keep thinking about all the cool stuff we did, all the sites we explored, all the times we just sat around talking about nothing. That was good. That was a good life. Short, but good. To Abulita, 1 hour 23 minutes in. Abulita, T. Quiro Mucho. Thank you for teaching me to be curious. Thank you for always having cookies. Thank you for letting me fix your phone even though you didn't really need help. I know you just wanted me to visit. I knew I didn't mind. Tell Mom it's okay. Tell her I wasn't alone. I had the phone. I had my memories. I had all of you in my head. That's not the same as being alone. To Dad, 2 hours 15 minutes in. David went rigid, hadn't expected this. Hadn't thought Marcus would waste his last words on a father who'd abandoned him. Dad, I know you're probably not listening to this, that's okay, but just in case, I forgive you for leaving, for not calling, for missing my birthday, I forgive you. I saw the geode on your dashboard that last time you picked me up. The purple one, I know you kept it, I know you were trying. It's just sometimes people can't stay even when they want to, I get it. I'm 12. I'm not supposed to get it, but I do. I hope you're happy. I hope you find whatever you were looking for when you left. I hope you don't feel too bad about this, about me. I made this choice, not you, this isn't your fault. David broke, completely broke, bent forward until his forehead touched the floor, made sounds that were somewhere between crying and screaming. Alina reached over, touched his shoulder. Gave him the one thing he'd never given Marcus, forgiveness for being human. The geology, 3 hours, 18 minutes in, Marcus's voice had changed by this point. Slower, slurred, hypothermia setting in, but still curious, still Marcus. There's layers here in the shaft walls, sedimentary rock from when Pennsylvania was ocean, millions of years ago, and coal seams thin ones, that's what they were mining, and quartz deposits. I can see them when I turn on the light, they sparkle. Even down here, even in the dark, the earth is beautiful, that's what I keep thinking. The earth is so beautiful, even the parts that kill you, even the darkness. There's beauty in the geology, in the layers, in the way everything becomes something else over time. I'm going to be part of that, part of the layers. Someday someone will dig here and find evidence of me, like a fossil, like proof I was here, that's okay. That's kind of cool actually. I can't feel my hands anymore, that's probably bad, but I'm not scared, I'm really not. I thought I would be, but I'm not. It's quiet down here, peaceful, like the earth is holding me, like I'm already part of it. I love you all, Mom, Tyler, Abulita, Dad, even you, Dad, I love you. I'm going to try to whistle now. The Star Wars theme, our song, Mom, the one I whistle when I'm thinking. They heard him try. Heard his lips attempt the 3 notes. Couldn't quite make the sound. Too cold, too numb, so he hummed it instead. 3 notes. Weak, wavering, but recognizable. The opening of the Star Wars theme, he hummed it twice. 3 times, then silence. Not the silence of stopped recording. The silence of stopped breathing. Just the drip of water. The weight of stone. The earth holding what it had taken. The recording continued for another 12 minutes. Just silence. Just proof that the phone had kept listening even after Marcus couldn't speak. At 4:04:00 the file ended. No one moved for a long time. The phone sat between them, silent now, its message delivered, its purpose fulfilled. Finally, Alina spoke. Her voice was hoarse, wrecked, but somehow lighter. He wasn't alone. Tyler wiped his eyes. He documented it. Of course he documented it. That's so Marcus. David couldn't speak. Just sat there with his face in his hands, shoulders shaking. The forgiveness had destroyed him. The geode on the dashboard Marcus had noticed, had understood, had forgiven, and David had spent 6 years not knowing, not hearing, not receiving the gift his son had tried to give him. Alina picked up the phone, held it like something precious, because it was. It was 4 hours and 4 minutes of her son's voice. 4 hours and 4 minutes of proof that he'd been brave and scared and human in hers. I'm going to listen again, she said, tomorrow and the day after and every day until I can hear his voice without breaking. Can I, Tyler's voice cracked, can I get a copy for me? Yes, of course. David finally found words. Thank you for letting me hear. Alina looked at her ex-husband, saw the wreckage, saw the grief he'd been carrying alone because he thought he didn't deserve to share it. He forgave you, she said quietly. Maybe you should try forgiving yourself. David nodded, couldn't speak, just nodded. They sat together on the living room floor until dawn, not talking, just sitting, just existing in the space Marcus's voice had filled. Outside, March night gave way to March morning. The world kept turning, the earth kept spinning. Time kept moving forward the way it always does, indifferent and relentless. But inside that living room for a few hours, time had stopped. Marcus had spoken, and they had listened, and somehow, impossibly, that was enough. Alina shared the recording with exactly 3 people. Detective Morrison, retired now but still checking in, the Schuylkill County Safety Commissioner, and a state legislator named Patricia Orozco who'd lost her own son to an abandoned well in 2003. Not the full recording, never the full recording. Some things were too sacred, too private, too much Marcus's last gift to his family alone, but she shared enough. The geology observations, the timestamps showing how long he'd survived. The proof that he'd been conscious, afraid, alone. The evidence that this death was preventable. There are 847 documented abandoned mine shafts in Schuylkill County alone, Alina told the Safety Commission in April. Tyler sat beside her, David in the back row, a united front built from shared grief. 847 sites that someone marked as dangerous and then did nothing about. My son found 23 of them, documented them, drew maps, and fell into one that had been reported as hazardous in 2011, 2014, and 2017. No one sealed it. No one prevented access. No one protected curious children from doing what curious children do. Her voice didn't shake. Grief had burned away everything except the core of her. What remained was steel. I have 4 hours and 4 minutes of my son dying alone in the dark. I'm not asking you to listen. I'm asking you to make sure no other mother has to. The legislation drafted itself quickly after that. Marcus's law, they called it, and Alina didn't object even though she knew Marcus would have been embarrassed by the attention. The law mandated immediate sealing of all documented abandoned mine shafts within 18 months, GPS database of hazardous sites, publicly accessible criminal penalties for property owners who failed to secure known dangers, funding for remediation from mining companies, environmental bonds. It wasn't justice. Justice would be Marcus alive, home, 20 years old and studying geology at college, but it was something. It was 847 shafts sealed. It was other children protected. It was Marcus's death, meaning something beyond grief. Tyler's YouTube channel became something else after March 2025. He posted a video in April titled "Why I Started This Channel." For the first time, he said Marcus's name. My best friend Marcus Delgado died exploring an abandoned mine shaft when he was 12 years old. He kept a notebook with 23 documented sites. This channel exists because of that notebook. Because Marcus taught me to see beauty in forgotten places. Because he believed abandoned spaces deserved documentation, preservation, memory. This isn't just urban exploration. It's a memorial. Every site I visit, I'm asking, is this safe? Should this be sealed? Could a kid fall here the way Marcus fell? He held up Marcus's composition notebook, showed the pages, site #1 through site #23, each one mapped and described in Marcus's careful handwriting. I'm working with the county to use this as a guide. Every site Marcus found will be evaluated, sealed if necessary, made safe. His curiosity won't be what killed him anymore, it'll be what saves others. The video got 2 million views. News outlets picked it up. Suddenly Marcus's law had a face, a story, a 12-year-old boy with a gap-toothed smile and a composition notebook full of dreams. The legislation passed unanimously in June. Governor signed it in July. Remediation began in August. September 18, 2025, they chose the 6-year anniversary for the ceremony at site #19. Poetic, painful, right. The September afternoon arrived with the same golden light that had existed on September 18, 2019. That particular late afternoon glow that only happens in mid-September when the sun hangs low and shadows stretch long and everything feels balanced on the edge of changing. The same light that had caught Marcus's gray hoodie as he'd walked away from Tyler in the school parking lot. The same light that had illuminated the woods he'd walked into never to leave. 217 people gathered behind the old Kovac property. Reporters, legislators, families of other victims, volunteers who'd searched that first night, Deputy Morrison, teachers from Colebrook Middle School, students who'd known Marcus, friends who remembered. And Marcus's people, Alina, Tyler, David, Marisol in her wheelchair, clear today, lucid, understanding that she was saying goodbye to her ingeniero one more time. Thomas Kovac was there too, 74 years old, haunted, flown in from Florida for the first time since 2011 when he'd abandoned this property. He'd sold it to the county for $1 after Marcus's death. Couldn't bear to own the land that had taken a child. The concrete truck arrived at 3:46 p.m. The same kind of truck that builds foundations, pours driveways, creates permanent things. Today it would fill a hole, seal a grave, close a chapter. Revelation wait, the sealing setup. The ceremony began with silence. No speeches yet. Just the gathered crowd standing in a semicircle around the shaft opening, now uncovered, boards removed, a perfect circle of darkness 35 feet deep. Alina stepped forward, looked down into the black, saw nothing. The shaft gave back nothing, just darkness, just stone, just the indifferent earth that had held her son for 12 hours before returning him. The moment, I forgive you, she said to the shaft, to the earth, to the geology Marcus had loved. You didn't mean to take him, you were just being what you are, stone, darkness, time, I forgive you. Tyler performed the secret knock on the ground beside the opening, 3 fast taps, 2 slow. 1 fast, the rhythm disappeared into the earth. Marcus didn't answer, would never answer, but the ritual mattered anyway. The concrete truck rumbled to life. The aftermath, the chute extended, positioned over the shaft, and then the pour began. Wet concrete hitting stone 35 feet down made a sound like finality, like chapters closing, like the earth accepting what was given and holding it forever. The crowd watched in silence, 217 people holding their breath as the shaft filled, watching darkness disappear under industrial gray, watching danger transform into safety. 11 minutes, that's how long it took. 11 minutes of continuous pour, the truck emptying its entire load into the shaft, filling it completely, sealing it permanently. When the concrete stopped flowing, the silence was absolute. Then Alina spoke. Alina's speech, my son Marcus was 12 years old when he fell into this shaft. He was curious, he was brave, he was kind. He documented everything: rocks, abandoned buildings, interesting insects, cloud formations. He wanted to be a geologist. He wanted to discover a cave system and name it after me. He kept a notebook with 23 sites around Colebrook, places other people walked past without noticing. He saw them, he documented them. And because he did, we know where the dangers are. We know what needs to be sealed. We know how to protect other curious children. Marcus died doing what he loved, exploring, learning, seeing beauty in forgotten places. I will never be okay with his death. I will carry this grief every day for the rest of my life. But I can live with knowing that his curiosity, the thing that killed him, is now the thing that saves others. 847 sites will be sealed because of Marcus's notebook, because of Tyler's videos, because of a law that bears my son's name. That's not healing, that's not closure, but it's something. It's Marcus still acting in the world through the people he left behind. He loved this earth. Even at the end, falling, dying, alone in the dark, he talked about how beautiful the geology was, how the rock layers told stories, how everything eventually becomes part of something else. So let him be part of this. Let the sealed shaft be part of his legacy. Let the concrete holding him be part of the earth he loved. Her voice finally broke. I love you, Mijo. I love you. I love you. I will love you every day until I join you in the earth. Marisol spoke next, brief, clear, her voice steady in a way it hadn't been in months. Fly high, my ingeniero, fly high. Then they placed the memorial marker, bronze plaque embedded in concrete. The words they'd chosen together: Marcus Antonio Delgado, April 22, 2007, September 18, 2019. He wasn't afraid of the dark. He just wanted to see what was in it. Tyler placed a geode at the base of the marker, purple crystals inside, Marcus's favorite. The kind of thing Marcus would have kept on his windowsill, arranged by color with all his other treasures. David stood at the back of the crowd, weeping quietly. The forgiveness Marcus had given him 6 years ago still sat in his chest like broken glass. He'd moved to Philadelphia 3 years ago, closer to Marcus's grave, closer to the site where his son had died. Not close enough to be forgiven by Alina, that would take more time, maybe forever, but close enough to show up, to be present, to witness. The sealed concrete would cure for 28 days. After that, grass would grow over it, weather would wear the edges, years would pass. Eventually people would walk past this spot and not know what it was. Just a concrete pad in the woods behind an abandoned house. Just another sealed shaft among hundreds, but Alina would know, Tyler would know, and every September 18th they'd come back and remember. January 2026, Sunday night, the time Alina and Marcus used to watch Planet Earth together. Alina sat on the couch alone, no popcorn, no documentary. Just silence and the weight of another week survived. She opened her phone, scrolled to the voice memos app. Not Marcus's recording, she'd listened to that 17 times now, could recite parts by heart, carried his voice in her head like a prayer. Her own recordings, she pressed record. Hey Mijo, it's Mom, I wanted to tell you about my week. She talked for 10 minutes about the weather, about Marisol having a good day, asking about him. Alina telling her stories about the boy she was forgetting, about the Senate committee scheduling final votes on Marcus's law for spring, about Tyler's new video that got 500,000 views, about the cardinal she'd seen on the fence this morning that reminded her of him, bright red against gray winter, beautiful and alive and brief. She told him about work, about her mother's doctor appointment, about the little things that make up a life. The ordinary moments he was missing, would always miss. I love you, she said, the way she always did, quickly, like it was obvious, like it didn't need saying, but she said it anyway. She pressed stop, saved the file, didn't delete it. 67 recordings now, one for each Sunday since March. She'd never delete any of them, would keep recording every week for the rest of her life. Would fill her phone with one-sided conversations because that's what you do when someone you love is gone. You keep talking, you keep them in the present tense. You refuse to let them become past. She looked out the window. The September light was gone. It was January now, cold and dark at 6 p.m. The world outside was winter, bare branches, gray sky, everything dormant. But somewhere in her phone, it was still September. Somewhere in her phone, Marcus was still talking about geology and beauty and how the Earth holds everything eventually. Somewhere in the digital space between memory and data, her son's voice still existed, preserved perfectly, forever 12, forever curious, forever hers. She closed her eyes, listened to the silence, not empty silence, full silence. The kind that holds everything you've lost and everything you're carrying and everything you'll never let go. Somewhere she knows he's listening too. Not in heaven, not as a ghost, not in any way she can prove or touch or see, but in the way mothers know their children are listening even when they can't answer. In the way love persists beyond death, in the way a voice recorded in darkness continues speaking in light. Marcus Antonio Delgado was 12 years old when he fell 35 feet into the earth. He wanted to be a geologist. He documented everything. And because he did, 847 dangerous sites were sealed. A law was passed. Children were protected. His curiosity, the thing that killed him, became the thing that saved others. He is gone. He is not forgotten. And every Sunday night at 6 p.m., his mother opens her phone and tells him about her week. She always will.